All right. So I made a video yesterday talking about this. I talked about it with Ryan, but I'm gonna ask you as well, just to maybe you can ground me. Sunil, you're the one that usually does ground me in these scenarios, but it just
Like a
seems
parent.
like yeah, right. It just seems like a magical season is kind of shaping up very, very
Yeah.
early on. I understand that it's way too early to talk Super Bowl. I get that.
Yeah.
But going into the season, we knew what it was. We knew that the 49ers were one of maybe eight teams that realistically had a chance to win a Super Bowl. After 3 weeks, we can confidently say, yes, they are still one of those teams, and the season is shaping out kind of like what we thought going into the season. Not only that, we've had some key players on other teams get injured. Of course, you never want to talk about injuries. You never wish injuries or anything, but winning a Super Bowl a lot is about the luck and can you
Right.
stay healthy? And we've seen the 49ers have their fair share of injuries throughout the years and able to overcome them and still make deep runs. We'll see what happens to some of these other teams, but it just seems like everything early on is really starting to shape up for the 49ers. It has that feeling to me that it could be a special season. Do you believe that I'm off my rocker for talking about it too early? And just as it sits 3 weeks in, I know it's a quick snapshot. Do you believe right now they should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl?
So, do I believe you're off your rocker? Yes, but not necessarily because we're talking about
Perfect.
Super Bowl this year,
Yeah.
because all the other stuff about you. Look, of the two of us, I'm the only one that has the 49ers winning the Super Bowl this year in their early predictions, right? I thought I had the 49ers in the Super Bowl winning against the Chiefs. And I got to say, I'm even more excited about that pick now more than ever because, look, obviously health plays a big role in it, and knock on wood that everybody can stay healthy and the team is healthy going into the playoffs and those games, which is a big if, right? It is tough to stay healthy for a full season. But you look at this team and how they're playing. In previous years, Jesse, we were dependent on the defense solely to be able to win games. That's not this year, right? This year, this offense could put up points regardless of how the defense is playing, right? In the win streak from last season, a lot of what people, maybe some of the criticism against Purdy or why people weren't totally bought in on Purdy was because the defense was so good giving Purdy short fields, right? So it was like, oh, is it really Purdy or is it just this defense is turning the ball over and giving short fields? Well, now Purdy's winning games without necessarily the benefit of these short fields. He's driving the ball, and getting points on a lot of these drives as well. So it's just the way that they're winning now is more of a complete football team. And I think that's the reason why, Jesse, like 49ers have always been a contender, right? But they've had these, we haven't seen them play a complete game, or, the offense can't put up enough points. And it's always, it's a lopsided type win with the defense has to hold the team under a certain amount of points for this team to be competitive. That's not the case now. I could see us winning, going up against a team and having to score 40 points to win a game, and this team being fine with that, right? I could also see this team winning in a very low-scoring game because the defenses are playing awesome, and the defense needs to make, turnovers to be able to win a game. I could also see us needing to kick 3, 4, 50-plus yard field goals, and we have the kicker to be able to do that, right? There's so many ways that this team could win right now, which is why I'm very excited about this team. And I agree with you. This team is something special. And as long as they stay healthy, there's not a team that I think is going to be like significantly better than them or significantly favored over this team. But, health is going to play a big role in that.
Yeah, most certainly it will. We talked a lot this offseason about this offense. And I remember going into the playoffs, I was saying, this was last year going into the playoffs, I had said, to me, it feels like this team is starting to be offensive driven more than ever. I think the upgrade from Jimmy to Purdy helps with that. obviously we know what CMC brings to the table. And then we talked about it again this offseason, and I reiterated that point. I think that as good as this defense is, this might be more of an offensive driven team. And I think that's starting to show a little bit. Here's some examples of that. Week 2, Purdy does not play great by any means. Arguably his worst game, still wasn't horrible, but he wasn't what we've kind of grown used to throughout this short part of his career. They still put up 30 points. And Ayuk was laboring. Okay. This week, Ayuk is out. Started out rocky again. They still put up 30 points. When you look at the 49ers, they're ranked, I believe, 20th right now in red zone touchdown percentage, which means they're not even converting their red zone drives into touchdowns. They're still scoring 30 points a game. And they're ranked 11th in the NFL in third down percentage. So they're not great in third downs. They're good, top half of the league, but they're not great in third downs. They're not great in red zone touchdown percentage. Brock Purdy's had some ups and downs. Ayuk's missed a game. He was hurt in another game, and they still put up 30 every single freaking week. This offense hasn't even hit its stride yet at all. They could be putting up 40 plus a week. I mean, every week we've looked at them and be like, well, they left a couple touchdowns on the board there. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're saying instead of 30, they could have just put up 44 every week? Like that's what we're talking about. This team right now is so damn good, and it hasn't even hit its stride yet, in my opinion, offensively. Now, I understand when you play some better defenses, things are going to tighten up. It's never going to be perfect. I get all those things. I do think some of those red zone numbers and third down percentage numbers can certainly improve. And if they do, on top of everything else, and the health stays where it's at, this team can score a lot of points.
Yeah. And like I said, whenever you're looking for what teams can win and be a Super Bowl caliber team, they have to be able to win in a multitude of ways, right? And the 49ers have that. They could win because the special teams plays well. They could win because the defense plays well. They could win because the offense plays well. And that's the type of team that you want to have if you're contending for a Super Bowl. So right now, I mean, all of the power rankings have 49ers up top, no matter who's ranking the power rankings. So the league are, most people, I think, have the 49ers as the favorite through 3 weeks. But there's a lot of seasons still to be played. Obviously, there still needs to be a lot of luck that goes along with that when it comes to health. But at least what we want to see from the team, we're starting to see that. And we're putting ourselves in a good position to be able to, get that bye because I think that's ultimately going to end up, being who comes out of the NFC.
I agree with that. And the bye week is going to be extremely important. The 49ers are one of 3 teams that are 3-0. And that's the big thing. You talked about it, how going into this last week that the 49ers, this is the 3rd time in the Shanahan era where they've started out 2-0 or better. The other 2 times, one, they went to the Super Bowl. The other, they went to the NFC Championship. Well, this is only the 2nd time they've started out 3-0 in the Shanahan era. And the other time that happened, they did go to the Super Bowl. The 49ers traditionally start out slow. They have not done that. Mm-hmm. They have not hit their stride by any means, but they're still winning these games, and they're winning very impressively. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, great example. They also have not hit their stride. They're going to be a better team, I believe, as this season runs along. But they're winning. So you take wins how you can get them, but they're kind of laboring along in some of these wins. The 49ers aren't laboring along.
Right.
I mean, you can say, okay, for a half they were stuck with, or 2.5 quarters, but by the time the game's over, I mean, they're winning pretty clearly and handily. So those are all good things for a team early on in the season that should get better as the season goes.